It's Hump Day Live Radio here on UCY.TV. You're going to be with me and my cohort, Lance Musser, for the next 2 hours, because this is a Wednesday night, and this is Boiler Room Radio. Good evening, Lance Musser.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good.
Good. We're going to start things off a little bit different today. We have a special guest with us tonight. They came by my house, and hang on just a second, and I will go... let them speak.
Introduce her to you.
Yeah, hang on just 1 second, everybody. Go ahead and talk, Lance.
Good evening, everybody. Wait till you get a load of this. It just got done pouring rain there, so we had to wait for the guest to arrive.
I got the critter mic open and live. This is our special guest.
He's crunching around outside in the driveway. Now, if that isn't funny, I don't know what it is. I told him he needed to get one. You know, John Moore. John Moore's website has that his photo of him sitting back on his Harley at deep in the Ozark Mountains. I told him he's got to get the John Moore photo going on.
How was that?
Oh, it was awesome.
That's the way to start the show, baby. I think I might have to get that on tape so that I can start the show that way every day. But anyway,
have you named her yet?
No, I have not. I don't know. I mean, you saw the pictures. She's pretty black with kind of like a purple ghost flame on the tank and on the fenders and stuff. All kinds of chrome kit. It's got a Screaming Eagle package on it, so everything on it that can be chrome is chrome. It's got a set of drag bars. It's just beautiful. I don't know.
You got all the gear for it too?
I'm going to go get a set of bags, actually. I was looking at bags today. I want to get a set of leather bags for the sides of it. I don't know if I'm going to get the hard mounts or if I'm going to get the layovers, but I don't know. We're going to do that. It's got a windshield for it, so if you go long distance, you can keep the bugs out of your teeth, but it's not going to be on it very often.
Yeah, Mom will love it.
Looks better without. Oh, yeah, I'm sure Mom's going to. Yeah, she's going to love the hell out of it. My chickens don't like it. And Tippy's not too fond of it either. It's very loud. The Samsons are very loud. It looks really good sitting in my driveway, though, and I'm so glad I have it here now.
And what is it again?
It's a 1997 FX DWG, a Dyna Wide Glide.
Gotcha. Is that a very pretty Kawasaki?
You fuck. Yeah. It's got the front forks. I didn't show her the front spokes on the wheel. I didn't show you. They're twisted spokes. Very expensive rim. Very nice looking when it goes down the road and it's glistening in the sun. I took it for a ride around the driveway already, so just had to.
Oh, did you? Okay, after you got it off the trailer.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. So I've got photos on my phone now. I will be sending them out to those of you that have been wanting to see them. So, and eventually something will hit Facebook and Twitter, and I'm sure my sister will be really thrilled too. So anyway, on with the show. How's Wall Street going?
Hold on, let me look. Yeah, it's still being manipulated.
Oh, shit.
You got your soundboard ready?
Oh, no, hang on just 1 second.
What if I could offer everybody undeniable proof that the U.S. dollar is worth less than fake money? But first, let's look at the implications of such an outrageous claim. We'll start by looking at the current situation of the U.S. dollar. But before we continue, I'd like to share your opinion with one of the answers below. Obviously, it's yes. Is the U.S. dollar worthless? Yes or no?
No!
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. I don't have the yes button.
The current U.S. dollar, hold on, isn't backed by anything other than your imagination. And here's some food for thought. What makes a $100 bill worth more than a $1 bill? Your belief that it's worth more. Both are nothing more.
It's got a different base on it.
Both are nothing more than ink printed on the same size paper. If belief is what gives the U.S. dollar its value, what could cause it to lose its value? It's as simple as mass unbelief. All around the world, people are losing faith in the U.S. dollar, And it's evident in the fact that the dollar continues to lose value worldwide, while gold and silver continue to increase. And if you don't believe me, here's some articles, and I'll post this in a minute.
Oh boy.
Bloomberg, Republicans asserting reliance on gold as world loses faith. Wall Street Journal, world's faith in dollar, not guaranteed.
Oh boy.
Forbes, is the world losing faith in the U.S. dollar? The Economist, the failing dollar. And the Daily Mail, is the U.S. losing faith in its own dollar? As we can see from the articles above, faith in the U.S. dollar is wavering, which is causing the value of the dollar to drop. But just how low has it dropped?
Plummet.
It's dropped so low that plastic money is worth 8 times more than real money in your pocket. And when I say
plastic coin,
when I say plastic money, you most likely thought I was referring to debit or credit cards, but that's not what I mean. I'm literally referring to plastic money that children play with. Right now, a plastic penny is worth 7 cents, while a real penny is barely worth 1. And if you don't believe me, 100 plastic pennies are $8.49 at Amazon.com. So think about that for a moment. Something that is only worth what people are willing to pay for it. Feel free to walk up to a complete stranger and ask them to buy your 100 real pennies for $8.49, and they laugh at you. But again, if you go on Amazon, you can sell fake pennies for that amount. 2 of the largest holders of U.S. debt are Russia and China. When we get in financial trouble, they are the ones that lend us money with interest. What would happen to you if your lender lost faith in your currency?
No!
What if they decided they didn't want your paper money because it was essentially worthless? How would you go about paying them back? Well, that's the predicament we're in right now. Russia and China have both lost faith in the U.S. dollar and on a crusade to pull other countries out of the U.S.-created financial matrix. Again, the new American, Russian-China deal is another nail in the coffin for the U.S. dollar. CNBC, what Russia-China relations mean for the dollar. Whiteout Press, Russia-China deals moves dollar closer to collapse. And there's 4 more of them that are saying the same thing. The price of gas as an indicator. In the year 2000, just before summer vacation, Jason got his first car. A few of us that were friends would scrape together whatever coins we could so we could go to the Rebel and put 99 cents per gallon of gas in the car. That was just before George Bush was elected. By 2008, gas was over $4 a gallon and then made a sudden drop to $1.40 per gallon in December, just after the election of Obama. Now in 2014, it's $3.70 a gallon. That's a 370% increase over the last 14 years. You can blame Bush, you can blame Obama, you can blame the Iraq War, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. When I was a kid, I remember my grandfather saying, back in my day, you could get a loaf of bread for a nickel. And who hasn't heard that?
Right.
And here we are in 2014, a decent loaf of bread will run you almost $3. You could have bought 60 loaves of bread with $3 back in my grandfather's day. Another story I remember is telling me he used to make $3 per week, and I couldn't understand how anyone could live on that. That bit of seemingly random piece of information is going to bring forth right here. My grandfather was born in 1916, and just shy of 100 years later, people have gone from getting by on $3 a week or less to asking the government to force businesses to pay $15 an hour. Something is clearly wrong with our current economic scenario, and if we continue this trend, 100 years from now, what's going to be a livable wage? In case you missed the math, this is where we're headed. The minimum wage debate will never end because the U.S. dollar is losing its value. And I'm sure you can find many more examples than the ones that have been provided, but the simple fact is the decline of the dollar is happening, and it's showing no sign of stopping.
Bummer.
To go along with that, Germany secretly planning on joining BRICS. And this is a hypothesis. Jim Willey, everybody knows Jim Willey and Greg Hunter, USA Watchdog and Golden Jackass. He says no matter who shot down the Malaysian commercial jet over Ukraine, there's going to be massive fallout. And I got some stuff on that later. Here's the big consequence. The U.S. is basically telling Europe, you have two choices. Join us with the war against Russia. Join us with the sanctions against Russia. Join us in constant war and conflicts, isolation, and destruction to your economy, and denial of your energy supply and removal of contracts. Join us with this war and sanctions because we'd really like to keep the dollar regime going. They're going to say, we're tired of the dollar. We're pushing Germany. Don't worry about France. Don't worry about England. Worry about Germany. Germany has 3,000 companies doing active business right now, and there's no way they're going to join the sanctions, period. That makes a lot of sense. It's a war game, and Europe is sick of U.S. war games. The defense of the dollar has come to war versus trade. Are you with us or against us? As far as NSA spying on Germany, Willie says, I think they're looking for details on assisting Russia on dumping the dollar. I think they're looking for details for a secret movement for Germany to get away from the dollar and join the BRICS. That's exactly what I think they're going to do.
What are they going to call it? The BRICS plus G?
I don't know. I was trying to think of a good acronym for it, actually. BRICS. Willie thinks as countries move away from the U.S. dollar, the money printing increases, the economy gets worse. Willie calls this feedback loop, and he contends you get the feedback loop from the damage of lost incomes that come from the higher costs that come from the quantitative easing. It's not stimulus. It's backdoor Wall Street bailouts that degrade, deteriorate, and damage the economy in a vicious feedback system. And on the recovery that mainstream media has been harping on for years, he thinks that we've actually gone into a recession at -6 or -7% right now. So we already got the U.S. energy companies defying our own sanctions because ExxonMobil is doing more work in the Arctic and the Black Sea, which is Crimea, and that's full of Russian companies right now. So if we can't get our own companies to withhold the sanctions, why would the other ones?
Right. They're going to say,
No!
Because Russia has way more money than the U.S. anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
They're a bigger footprint in the global economy than the U.S. anticipated.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And they weren't thinking that all these other countries were going to go, F you, U.S., like France, them trying to say, no, you don't deliver those Mistrals. No. They're like, hey, Russia already paid for them. What do you want us to do? Up the $1.6 billion that they gave us? Not going to happen.
Well, and they could give back
the ship.
They could give back the $1.6 billion if they hadn't spent all this money on building it already.
Exactly. And they were like, France is a country of our word. We told them we would deliver these ships at a certain date, and they are done, and they are being delivered. Fuck you, U.S.
Well, in the UK and the U.S. are both coming down on France for doing it. Yeah. And if that's the case,
they got leg to stand on, dude. They got
one of them step up and buy the ship from them then, so France doesn't lose any money.
Right. They're not losing any money. France if they held onto the ship and not delivered it, then, they'd have just held onto the ship and not delivered it, right? I mean, they'd have told Russia, you'll get your money back when we got it.
Unless they cared about their relationship with Russia.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to glow. Okie dokie. What else you got over
there? Nothing financial. I got other stuff for some interesting topics.
Okie doke. Since it's a Wednesday, there is no Scott and Hyper Report, so we're going to jump over here and we're going to hit the Vice News Daily. I don't think we've listened to one of them for a day or two or three.
7.
It's Wednesday, July 23rd, and here's some of the news beyond the headlines. Tensions flared in Ukrainian parliament on Tuesday as politicians voted to increase the number of troops battling pro-Russia separatists in the east. Scuffles broke out between nationalist politicians and members of the region's party of former President Viktor Yanukovych. Parliament had just approved a presidential decree to draw on the country's military reservists. Brawls aren't an unusual occurrence in Ukraine's parliament. and various political
It's
parties
cool
have
watching
previously
politicians
staged
punch each
sit-ins
other.
to block work from proceeding. The World Health Organization has launched a regional response center in Guinea's capital as health workers struggle to cope with the world's largest ever outbreak of the Ebola virus. The disease has killed more than 600 people across Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia since February. Medics and volunteers are having trouble reaching communities affected by the virus, largely because many locals believe they're there to spread Ebola rather than fight it.
Just going to throw a little sidebar in there. The lead epidemiologist that was working on the Ebola virus in Sierra Leone, 39-year-old doctor, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, I tweeted it out earlier, has contracted Ebola. Going to give his life, probably, to try to save other people. Trying to save other people. That, friends, is a true hero.
Italian police have arrested 5 alleged people smugglers accused of stabbing and assaulting some 60 migrants before throwing them overboard. Survivors say the men attacked migrants who had tried to come up for air from the hold of the boat. They say they then threatened others on board with the same fate if they reacted. Italy's government has pled with the EU for more resources as tens of thousands of people who are fleeing violence and poverty in the Middle East and Africa attempt the dangerous trip to reach Europe. Muslim countries typically mark the end of the fasting month of Ramadan with an abundance of food and gifts, and the Syrian government is trying to convince the residents of Damascus that they have reason to celebrate too. The tourism ministry set up a 6-day bazaar offering food, clothing, and other products at a discount to help families cope with exorbitant prices triggered by the more than 3 years of conflict. But the illusion could be especially difficult to pull off this year, since more than 700 people were reportedly killed in fighting last week in the bloodiest 2 days of the country's civil war. Check out the Vice News YouTube channel for more original reporting and documentaries from around the world.
Lo que pasa es que nunca ha subido tanto. El lago ha sumergido absolutamente.
Well, unless you speak that language, that really doesn't translate too well to radio. This is called The Lake That Burned Down a Forest. It's quite alarming to watch how much water was funneled into that lake from somewhere, and they don't know where. It just all of a sudden started rising and drowned a bunch of stuff around it. So that should be something to check out. If you guys don't watch Vice News, you probably should. Any commentary to any of that, Lance?
No, I mean, I have...
Take a nap over there?
No. One of the videos, that one that I want to play earlier if we have time on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guy actually talks about Ebola also, and how not random this is, the way that it's popping up. So,
it's not random.
Some more good information.
It's DARPA.
Yeah.
Greg Manarino, I don't know if you watched it today. It's 12 and a half minutes long. Is it worth all that?
Probably not, but I didn't watch it.
Okay. Well, we'll let him talk for a little while, because we usually do every day that we're on the air. So when he gets boring, we'll shut him off.
It is Wednesday, July 23rd, 2014. People, I think this video is going to be an important one, and
Aren't they all?
I really hope people are paying attention to this. Lots of stuff going on here. Just real quick, as I'm doing this video blog, the U.S. equity markets are still open. The Dow is down fractionally. The NASDAQ and the S&P are actually higher. Okay. But that's really not what I want to focus on. I always talk about the debt market and the bond market. This is where we need to be looking. Most people out there, by and large, are looking in the wrong spot. They're focusing on the equity market, on the stock market. That's not where all the events which are going to lead to the inevitable reset of our financial system are going to occur. It's going to occur in the bond market. And I want to focus on that here. There's a lot of events going on here in the world that are right now propping up the U.S. dollar and the U.S. debt market. We've seen a reasonably substantial move into U.S. Treasuries. This is not going to last for several reasons here, people. And again, this plays right into why, at least in the short run right now, I am still bullish here with U.S. equities, it's just important to understand the mechanism here, because it's going to lead to a terrible turning of events down the line here. It's in many, many ways. You have to understand what this is and what we're witnessing. And it's the people out there, and this is by and large the vast majority of the global population has no idea how the monetary system works. And that's very frightening, because it's a medium of exchange, and it affects every aspect of people's lives. It's incredible how people do not get this, but it's just so important to understand. So people, this is what I see occurring here. Let's talk about the short run here. In the short run, again, we are witnessing events here, wars breaking out, escalation over wars here. And again, this is causing a safety trade. This is causing people to buy these U.S. treasuries, propping up the U.S. dollar. But keep in mind, and I want to go over a few points here that I think are important to understand. It's incredible how people do not get this. And I would say that it's just so important to understand. Not going
See, Joe, you have to refresh the room.
So people, this is what I see involvement.
And I forgot to mute it.
With regard to these conflicts with Western nations becoming involved. It's not going to happen. Obama's already taken this off the table, and justifiably so. The man is not stupid, although I sit here and I beat him up a lot of times. He completely understands the terrible liability of our national debt. He discussed this as candidate Obama. And if we were to rush into a war or start provoking Russia or whatever else, it would be a terrible mistake for our economies here. So there will be no direct involvement with any Western nation with the events that are occurring right now around the globe. So again, once the safety trade realizes this, we're going to see a sell-off there. So again, that cash is going to look for a place to go, and we're going to talk about that a little bit down the line. What else is happening here? The Federal Reserve, you have to understand this, people, will not allow a strong dollar. They will not do this. As a matter of fact, they're going to extreme lengths to put that into perspective for all of us. They're talking about how there's no inflation. We all realize that there is inflation. Not only are they doing that, but they're lying about inflation. And they have to keep that narrative going. Because if the average person were to understand that whatever cash that they have in a savings account is earning interest less than the actual rate of inflation, it's a theft mechanism. It's a theft mechanism to prop up U.S. equities. It's really what this is. It's very, very, very frightening here. That ties into, no sanctions here. Actually, it ties into 1 and 2, my first 2 points here. There will be no meaningful sanctions either against Russia.
Hell no.
It would affect our economy.
Cutting their own throats.
Period. I've gone over that many times. It's out of control here. You have to understand the other mechanisms that are in play here. It's very dastardly at many levels, and I've spoken about this.
And how many Russian oligarchs are over here in the U.S. with all their money secure in our banks, huh? Ask yourself that question.
And Britain.
Yeah, in London, in the city of London.
Until in perpetuity. Can't stop. So when you hear a politician or anyone out there talking about cutting debt or cutting spending, there's a liar. You're looking right into the face of a liar. Either they don't understand the monetary system we have, or they're lying to you. And I find it very hard to believe that a politician is that ignorant to the system.
I don't know, man. We got some pretty lulus up there.
Lying about it, in my opinion.
They're oblivious to everything.
And we need to understand what's actually.
We're going to go ahead and zip this down and seal it off for the night. It's getting a little long-winded. He's almost at 6 minutes, and he's kind of saying things over and over. But anyway, go ahead, Lance. Expound on what you heard from Mr. Manarino.
No, I mean, I don't have anything else to add on. I mean, it's funny that he points out.
Just because he didn't say the word yelling?
Yelling.
Sexy girlfriend!
We got to hear that at least once a show. But it's funny that, it's true. You got money in a savings account, and, it's not keeping up with the rate of inflation. So unless somebody's putting more money, into what do you do? A stock market, 401ks, buy gold, buy silver. That's a scary concept, scary thought.
Extremely. Okay, so you want to jump into this video that you tossed me before the show?
We can do that later.
Okay.
Do it later if we got time.
Sure. Well, hit one of your stories in. You said you got stories.
The Ukraine thing.
Yeah.
The more and more I'm looking at this, we had a Dabu 7 posted that video about the fresh passports and the tickets that came out. And yeah, I guess they could have been in a suitcase or multiple suitcases, but I don't know that they would have gone through that many bags.
Look,
that's just a lot of passports to be pulling out of a truck.
Look. There are multiple pictures of multiple piles of passports. There were almost 300 people on that plane. He grabbed one shot of about 20 that looked pretty new, okay? Now, sometimes when people get ready to go on an extended vacation they've never been on before, they go get a new passport, right? So, it's plausible. I've seen other pictures of passports that were half burned, that had blood stains on them, that were old and had been used a lot. So, come on, man, come on. Dabu 7, Dumbo 7, really?
So what about the passports from 9/11 that, of the hijackers that they found magically on the ground? So, yeah, it's same kind of thing.
That was a plane that flew into a building, supposedly, okay? and number one, the cat wasn't on the... somebody walked by on the street and dropped that out of their pocket. But anyway, this plane was blown out of the sky at 30,000 feet and fell to the ground in pieces. Now, look, there's also reports that are coming out now of witnesses on the ground that said they heard people screaming as they were falling out of the sky. So, come on, man, come on. This is just...
I don't know. You're never
It was not a fake plane on this. Dabu's trying to say that this was a fake plane on the ground and they threw all this shit out to make it look like an accident. That is not what happened.
And I don't know that either. But
there's no way they could get away with it, man. There's people living all over the goddamn place. There's no way they could get away with it.
There was no way they could get away with it if this story were to just get momentum. Right. In the heat of U.S. media's latest war hysteria, rushing to pin blame for the crash on Malaysian Airlines jet to President Putin, there is the same absence of professional skepticism that has marked similar stampedes on Iraq, Syria, and elsewhere, with key questions not being asked or answered. The dog not barking question on the catastrophe over Ukraine is, what did the U.S. surveillance satellite imagery show?
It showed shit all, because if it had showed anything, they'd have dropped it.
It's hard to believe that, with the attention that U.S. intelligence has concentrated on eastern Ukraine for the past half year, that the alleged trucking of several large Buk
missiles,
anti-aircraft missile systems from Russia to Ukraine and then back to Russia didn't show up somewhere. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are limitations to what U.S. spy satellites can see, but the missiles are about 16 feet long and they're mounted on trucks or tanks.
Russia has photographs of them.
It also went down during the afternoon, not at night, meaning the missiles were not concealed by darkness.
I'll be right back.
So why hasn't this question of U.S. spy-in-the-sky photos and what they reveal been pressed by the major news media? How can the Washington Post run front-page storage, such as the one this past Sunday, with the definitive title, U.S. Official, Russia Gave Systems, without demanding from these U.S. officials details about what the U.S. satellite images disclose? Instead, the Post wrote from Kyiv, the United States has confirmed that Russia supplied sophisticated missile launchers to separatists in eastern Ukraine and that attempts were made to move them back across the Russian border after the Thursday shoot-down of the jet airliner, a U.S. official said Saturday. So we do believe they were trying to move them back into Russia, at least 3 missile systems. The official said U.S. intelligence was starting to get indications a little more than a week ago that the Russians had moved the launchers into Ukraine. Said the official, whose identity was withheld by the Post so the official would discuss intelligence matters.
Shut up, you
right.
fucking apologist. Hang on a minute. Here's the deal, okay? The little piece of stratego information that the U.S. is trying to drop now is a satellite shot of the area from 2010 that they took their little Sharpies on and drew a place where the plane was flying and a place where they said the missile came from. Give me a fucking break, okay? Just everybody in Washington, everybody at the Pentagon, everybody that's involved with any of this Ukraine shit that has any kind of U.S. in any of their titles, shut the fuck up. You're embarrassing yourselves. Just shut up.
It goes on. But catch the curious vagueness, and you're right. Catch the curious vagueness of the officials' wording. We do believe, and starting to get indications.
Yes.
So are we supposed to believe, and perhaps more relevant, do the Washington Post writers actually believe that the U.S. government, with the world's premier intelligence services, can't track 3 lumbering trucks, each carrying large mid-range missiles? What I've been told by one source who has provided accurate information on similar interests in the past is that U.S. intelligence agencies do have detailed satellite image of the likely missile battery that launched the fateful missile, but the battery appears to have been under the control of Ukrainian government troops dressed in what looks like Ukrainian uniforms.
Whoops!
The source said CIA analysts were still not ruling out the possibility that the troops were actually Eastern Ukrainian rebels in similar uniforms, but the initial assessment was that the troops were Ukrainian soldiers. There also was the suggestion that the soldiers involved were undisciplined and possibly drunk, since the imagery showed what looked like beer bottles scattered around the site. Instead of pressing these kinds of details, the U.S. mainstream press has simply passed on the propaganda coming from the Ukrainian government and the U.S. State Department, including hyping the fact that the Buck system is Russian-made, a rather meaningless fact that gets endlessly repeated because whenever they sell it, who cares who made it? It's who shot it.
Right.
So I just thought that was...
I'm pretty sure that Ukraine has some stingers, too.
Probably.
Just saying.
I saw one earlier that was even hypothesizing that it was a bomb and not a missile shot down,
in the belly.
Yeah, and they're saying that because of the way the explosion is, and the black
segments
boxes
that are on the ground. It looks like it went. It looks like it got blown in half, and the wings came off.
Well, the black boxes aren't even being trusted with Belgium. Because they got sent somewhere else, I think, to London.
They got sent to London, and here's the reason behind that, okay? There's only 6 labs in the world that can analyze the data on black box on flight recorders. There's only 6 labs in the world.
That's pretty easy to control if you've only got 6 places.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The flight data recorder is the one that's going to take like weeks to come out with the info because it's all data that has to be dropped down on a computer and turned into a graph and blah, 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 blah. The cockpit voice recorder, that should be out in a matter of days, if not tomorrow.
Well, and that's what they want out.
This is a tape.
Yeah, because then they could say,
what happened
pilot's
on the
talking.
Deck.
Yeah, the
what
pilot's
happened on the
talking.
flight deck. Oh, my God, we got hit by a missile. Let's get this thing on the ground if we can. And then a lot of screaming and shit,
Or why is this military jet flying around me, the one that showed up on radar?
Yeah, it was only 5 kilometers away.
Yeah, why is this military jet following me? That's the kind of talk that we want.
There is possibility that it could have been an air-to-air missile. It didn't necessarily have to be a boot shot from the ground. It could have been an air-to-air missile. So, I mean, we just know that it got taken out of the sky.
Well, Putin's going to get the blame for it in the U.S. eyes, and the mainstream media will keep hyping that, because if their whole goal is to do a strike against Russia, all you got to do is tell the lie enough, and enough people will believe it.
And if the jackass Ukrainian separatists rebel general that came out and said the bodies were already decomposed is listening to my radio program, you need to shut up too, because that was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. The people over in Holland that received the bodies on the planes today, they said they were in good shape. They put them in coffins. That was a really, really sad scene. If anybody didn't see that,
yeah.
To see 100+ hearses sitting on a tarmac waiting for planes full of bodies to get, that was just sad. But they were not decomposed already. These were not old dead bodies. They were fresh dead people. Anyway, let's move on. What else you got over there? Let's see. I got a few things. Here's the chief doctor. I want to go ahead and get this guy's name out. His name is Sheikh Umar Khan. He's 39 years old. He is the chief epidemiologist in Sierra Leone that's trying to fight this Ebola outbreak. And he has been confirmed to have contracted Ebola. So even the people that are wearing all the protective shit to try to save themselves from, while they're saving others, I guess things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see. Another RT reporter. I guess this is the second time Ukraine's picked him up. What the hell's his name? Let's see. Pull this up here. They took him hostage. Graham Phillips is his name. He's a RT reporter from Britain. Does a lot of on the ground with a couple of cameramen running after him, chasing stuff down, trying to get fresh stories when stuff just breaks. And evidently he got a little too close to the Donetsk airport and was picked up by Ukrainian soldiers for the second time. The last time they held him for a day and a half, questioned the hell out of him, and tried to accuse him of espionage. So all of my thoughts go to that guy. He's in a bad place. Lance, your turn.
When they think about RT, about as much as I do, so plagues. Why are there so many plagues hitting the United States all of a sudden?
That's a good question. Pneumonic plague.
Well,
evidently this happens in Colorado every year, right? Somebody comes down with it every year because the rats out there carry it or some shit.
I don't even know if that one's on here. Hold on.
Anyway.
One can always point out bad stuff that is happening somewhere in the country, but right now we're facing a nightmarish combination of crippling drought, devastating wildfires, disastrous viruses, dying crops, and superbugs that scientists don't know how to kill.
Because they made them.
As you'll see, we even have a plague of flies down in Mississippi, the mayflies.
I just tweeted that.
Yep. So what in the world is going on? Is it a case of bad luck or something else? Number one is the plague of flies in the upper Mississippi Valley.
It's real!
It's the least dangerous because it does happen on every year, but they were so thick that they showed up on radar like rain.
See the picture I tweeted out, man? There was like a gas station. All the pumps you couldn't even see that there were pumps there. They just looked like big mounds of bugs.
Yeah, and they get so many of them on the road that it causes accidents because they're slippery when they start dying. Right.
Oh my God! I'm out of control. Our bug gets.
Is that a soundbite?
No, that was me.
Oh, okay. Number two is the
chikungunya.
Okay, thank you. As I wrote the other day, down in Florida, health officials have discovered the very first confirmed cases of chikungunya virus to be transmitted locally. In other words, it's now being passed to people that have not even traveled out of the country. An epidemic of the virus has already been declared down in Puerto Rico, and authorities are deeply concerned about the possibility of one up here as well.
And Skeeter
Already cases of the virus have been reported in 30 different states, and the total number of cases in the U.S. is more than 5 times higher than in any other recent year. If you live in an area that has a lot of mosquitoes, you might want to be very, very careful, because that's how this virus, which is extremely painful, is passed on. Number 3, the wildfires out west. Wildfires spanning almost 170,000 acres are driving hundreds of people out of their homes in Washington State and across the border in Canada. They say the fire surged to 168,000 acres in the state.
Bummer.
Yeah, no kidding. An estimated 80 homes were destroyed and cell phone service was knocked out. Number 4, the drought in California, which everyone knows about. This week it reported that 81% of California is now experiencing extreme drought or worse. 3 months ago, that number was at 68%. Los Angeles is now the driest it's been since record keeping began in 1877. Number 5, the virus that killed millions of the pigs. A horrific pig virus known as porcine epidemic diarrhea came over from China a little over a year ago.
Porcine, I think.
Thank you. Since then, it has killed about 7 million pigs and approximately 100,000 more are dying each week.
That's when we did them stories and all them pigs that were turning up in the rivers over in China.
Mm-hmm.
They were all dying from that shit, and the farmers were just dumping them in the rivers to get rid of them.
Yep, exactly. Number 6 is citrus greening. Have you ever heard of it?
Nope.
Me either. But it's gotten so bad down in Florida that experts are now saying that the entire citrus industry in the state could be destroyed. It's horrible. It's a disaster, says Fred Gemitter, a professor with horticultural science at the University of Florida Citrus Research and Education. It might be time to kiss your OJ goodbye, unless science steps in to save the day. 70% of Florida citrus trees are already infected by the disease known as citrus greening, or occasionally with just an ominous it, as in it's here. Florida citrus crops this year is the lowest it's been in 30 years, and authorities have continued to lower their production estimates. Orange juice prices are up 20% this year alone, and will continue to rise. Bananas. According to CNBC, the TR4 fungus is spreading so rapidly it could eventually totally wipe out the variety of bananas we find in our grocery stores today. I didn't know about that one.
Mm-mm.
There's nothing at this point that really keeps the fungus from spreading. Randy Plowitz, a professor of plant pathology at the University of Florida, who originally in 1989 discovered a strain of the Panama disease called TR4, and is growing into a serious threat to U.S. supplies of fruit and Latin American producers. Obviously, the number of earthquakes is increasing. We talked about, Oklahoma had more earthquakes than California?
Mm-hmm. There was one in Kansas yesterday that was like a 3.4 or something. I was like, Kansas? What?
Superbugs, you were talking about that.
Yeah.
Thanks in part to at least part, a massive overuse of antibiotics, a new generation of superbugs is rising. Scientists have no way to kill these superbugs, and according to experts, they are finding their way into healthcare facilities nationwide. They have reached near epidemic levels across U.S. hospitals, with an alarming 500% increase now documented in the study this past August of infection control and hospital epidemiology by the Society for Healthcare of America. And lastly, Fukushima. And that's all you need to say about that one.
That's all you need to say about that.
So we do have a lot of stuff going on right now. And you don't even hear boo about Fukushima.
Nope.
Now, unless you follow Fukushima Facts, which I highly encourage all the listeners to follow that on Facebook.
That's Jules' site.
Yep. And it's got relevant information all there all the time. And you know, it's not something that's going away anytime soon. I'm still waiting for it to blow up, and then it shows up on the news.
Bad. It's interesting times. We always say that. It's interesting times to be living in, but it's kind of nerve-wracking about this. Yeah, about now. You just got to wonder what's next, you know. What's next? You can see various things coming. I mean, there's several things that are coming, but what's going to hit first? I mean, what's going to be the next up-and-coming shoe drop? We always sit and wait for that.
It's like the post I put up the other day. My desire to be well-informed is currently at odds with my desire to remain sane.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about this crater in Siberia. Did you see all the stuff I dropped on it today?
I do.
The Daily Mail has footage that the scientists took. A group of scientists went up to this huge crater that all of a sudden appeared overnight. That's what they would have you believe, that it appeared overnight in Siberia. Actually, They said it could have taken up to 2 years to develop and show up, but they don't really take a whole lot of footage of this area of Siberia because it's Siberia.
Right.
Anyway, the crater is not as large as they thought it was, but it's very, very interesting. It's 300 feet deep, number one, and down at the bottom of it is this big cap of ice that's over a body of water down in the bottom of this hole. It measures about 30 meters across, or 98 feet. And it's kind of oval shaped. So one side of it's 90 or 30 meters, and the other side is 60 meters. So it's kind of an oval, like an egg-shaped hole. They're calling it a pingo. They're saying that it was a pingo, P-I-N-G-O, that created this crater. Supposedly, a pingo is a large ball of ice that's under the earth, under several feet of earth. Like this is permafrost, right? We're talking about Siberia. It's cold there all the time, almost. And evidently there's some thermal activity going on underneath all of this ice, this permafrost, and it created like a big gas bubble, right? And the earth farted and blew this big hole. And they said that it could have been ignited, because the sides of the hole are kind of burnt looking, and there's some grass around the area that was kind of burnt looking. They're not calling it an explosion, but they're calling it an ejection from the earth. Very, very wordy. It's pretty cool, though. I mean, I'm going to drop this link in chat. If you guys want to go check out some of these photographs and the video that goes along with it, the guys are, it's all subtitled because they're Russian. Very interesting. Never heard of a pingo before in my life, and never seen anything quite like this before either.
It's totally natural, though.
That's what they say. They occur constantly up there. Mm-hmm. Most of them don't eject dirt out of the earth, though. Most of them just kind of, there's all of a sudden a dent, because the gas gets, or the bubble or whatever, just kind of weeps out through the soil and it falls. So, very interesting, though. I'm going to go ahead and drop this in chat for everybody. And you're up.
Going on that one, Harvard scientists say that there may be an ancient Earth inside Earth.
Oh boy, let's go find that one.
A team of Harvard scientists may have found an indication that a portion of an ancient Earth exists inside our planet's mantle. A study presented at the Goldschmidt Conference in Sacramento, California, claims that previously...
What conference?
Goldschmidt.
Okay, thank you.
It claims that the previously inexplicable isotope ratio from the depths of the Earth may be an echo of the ancient Earth that existed before the collision with another celestial body, which is estimated to have led to the formation of the Moon 4.5 billion years ago.
I thought they already debunked all that crap, because the Moon is not made of anything that the Earth is made of. It's completely different. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, anyway, that was the impact of the planet. I don't know.
I don't know.
According to the authors of the study, the ratio may represent a signal from a material that existed prior to the moment of collision. Scientists at the Harvard University, led by Associate Professor, can't even name it, some Indian name, believe that only a portion of the Earth melted as a result of the collision.
Well, thank God.
And that in the depths of our planet mantle, there still exists a part of the ancient Earth. Maybe that's the inner Earth that Admiral Byrd went to. Scientists have studied the isotope ratio of noble gases from the depth of the Earth's mantle and compared it to the isotope ratio of the gases found closer to the surface. They found the ratios of 3He to 22Ne, which I don't know what it is, from the surface layers of the mantle is much higher than one of its deeper layers.
He is helium, I'm pretty sure. What did you say the other one was?
I don't know.
Ne?
Yeah, 22Ne.
I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure. But
come on!
Go ahead.
Harvard scientists, there you go, at their best.
Outstanding. I really do want to see the ant people come up out of the earth and go, you humans need to slap yourselves. We tried 3,600 years ago. We tried to tell you, sons of bitches, and you wouldn't listen. Now look, here we are again. I really do. I'm waiting for that day. I keep looking at all the caves around here because there's a lot of caves around here where I live, and just looking for somebody to be looking back out and wave at them. Hey, I want to know. By the way, for everybody listening, Monday, you guys know Monday was my birthday, and I did my live show, and I waited till midnight to make sure that there wasn't any kind of airmail package coming in or anything like that. You guys missed my birthday. I did not get my third strand. I'm very upset with y'all. I don't know if it's on back order or what, but you need to let me know something.
It's coming.
Okie dokie. What else you got over there, man? I got a couple other things over here on my Twitter feed that
Texas. You know, say what you want about Texas, and I did see the memes of Governor Rick Perry flying in that helicopter, or with his machine gun, ready to shoot those innocent kids coming across the border, and then he'll
1,000 guard. He's putting 1,000 guard on the border.
He'll be at church Sunday, going against everything that he was just doing in that helicopter. But Texas.
I'm trying to say that Rick Perry's a hypocrite, man.
I'm saying that they all are. But fluoride, I found my new favorite pizza joint down the road, and on their menu they even said, even if you order tap water, we buy all of our water to make sure it's fluoride free and no bacteria in it, everything else. So, and they use all organic ingredients for their pizzas. This place is
again?
Heaven's Pizza. And the guy's name is Brian Heaven, so that's why it was named that. It's just, cool. It is a heavenly pizza, I will say that, but the people get it, especially when they put fluoride right on their menu.
Maybe the dude's Anunnaki with a last name like Heaven. According
to the Fluoride Action Network, 145 communities have rejected water fluoridation since 2010. The growing numbers of cities and towns questioning the safety and economic efficiency of water with fluoride has been sparked by community activism efforts around the world. These have come as a response to a variety of studies looking at possible health dangers.
What about the doctors from back in the 40s that said the number one cause of cancers, tumors in the human body is fluoride?
And that Hitler was the one that introduced it into the water system should be enough to tell people it wasn't good for you.
Yeah.
But a recent study indicates that fluoride ions found in fluoridated water and toothpaste may lead to an increase in urinary stone disease. The study was conducted by chemists from Russia and Australia, led by...
also known as kidney stones for laymen?
It would be.
Okay.
Yep. The team studied 20 urinary stones from patients at a Russian hospital and discovered fluoride ions in 80% of the stones. This could be due to high levels of fluoride in the patient's urine, possibly from drinking water with fluoride or ingesting fluoride toothpaste. I think showering gets fluoride into your skin quicker than drinking the water, personally.
Skin is the largest organ in your body.
Right. And you showering or taking a bath. I think taking a bath is even worse because...
suck it up your bunghole.
You're sucking it all up in your whole body. But, it's neither here nor there. So Texas is actually leading the charge. There's a lot of counties and stuff that are going... putting fluoride in our water is costing us $42,000 a year. I think we can find better uses for this money.
Did you say charge?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
College Station, Texas is the home of Texas and A&M University, Aggies, and also holds the distinction of being the largest Texas city to have rejected water fluoridation.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent.
In 2011, 6 out of 7 members of the city council voted to end the 22-year practice. The council members said they wanted to save the $42,000 elsewhere and believed that there were other adequate sources of fluoride available. Houston.
Winning.
The largest city in Texas, the 4th largest in the United States, also has a growing movement against fluoride. In 2012, a group of activists...
Did you say that Texas is having a movement?
They are having a movement, a bowel movement. They formed Fluoride Free Houston to bring together concerned activists and citizens seeking to stop the city from adding chemicals to the water supply. They began the meeting in summer of 2012 and immediately received support from the Houston City Council members, and Fluoride Free Houston has been opposed by the mayor. When asked when she was ready to rethink fluoride, the mayor denied that there were any reasons for concern.
Congratulations, Houston, on your movement.
She's drank enough of the fluoride to, have Stockholm Syndrome, if you will. So that's it. Texas, there's about another 8 cities in Texas that are rejecting it, and they're getting... Hell yeah! So that's good to see.
It is. Very good to see.
And who would have thought it'd be in Texas,
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, let's see what I got over here. Oh, here's a good one. Oh, by the way, we're getting ready to go into the second hour here, so I can go ahead and tell everybody. The phones have been open the whole time we've been on the air, but I just haven't said anything. 718-717-8296. Open phones for the second hour. If you want to call in and talk about any little thing on your brain, we will open it up the floor for you to spew. So 718-717-8296, open phones, ucy.tv. I am on the network tonight. If you'd like to join in, hit me up on that, and we'll get you added into the call. Here's a really creepy story. I think Jules might have gone over a little bit of this in her show this morning. Her and I think Lady Pitbull was on with her, Wendy. Researchers identified more than 80 previously undiscovered genes which may be related to the development of schizophrenia, bringing the total of potentially associated genes to over 100, the largest international study ever published on the subject. We identified 128 independent associations spanning 108 consecutively defined loci that meet genome-wide significance, 83 of which have not been previously reported. The abstract of the study, published in Nature magazine on Tuesday, states, the findings are the result of the collaboration of Psychiatric Genomics Consortium, the PCG, which includes more than 80 institutions, such as the Broad Institute of Harvard and MIT, Massachusetts General Hospital, and others around the world. Those guys are creepy, man. MIT. The findings, let's see, I just said that. The identification of specific triggers which could lead to schizophrenia, help boost the development of new ways to treat the mental illness, which has been stalling for the last 60 years, according to Michael O'Donovan, a psychiatrist who led the study from the UK's Cardiff University. Schizophrenia is known to impact 1 in 100 people, 1% of the population. Characteristics of the disease include hallucinations and delusions. Some patients hear voices and report symptoms of paranoia. Very cool. So now there's more reason to worry, right? You've got more genes that are going to make you nutsoy. I think that's a way for the big pharma industry to start getting more people on pharmaceuticals. Like, you're going to go to the doctor and they're going to go, hey, you look like you have schizophrenia. Let me take your temperature. Hello, Lance?
There is a
what are you doing
organization called NAMI, N-A-M-I, the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Yes.
And there's a NAMI Virginia. There should be a NAMI North Carolina, Colorado, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But I have one of my good friends, my golf buddy, his son has schizophrenia. And it manifests itself pretty strong sometimes. And this NAMI, N-A-M-I, if anybody ever wanted to get involved in something, this is a pretty good resource if you ever see it around.
NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness.
National Alliance.
Alliance.
Mental illness. Yeah, so if you know anybody that has schizophrenia, that would be someplace to turn them to.
And here's something I don't know. We should have covered this like right off the bat because it happened today. More than 40 people have been killed after a Trans-Asia Airways plane made an emergency landing or tried to make an emergency landing in Taiwan's Pingju County. Taiwanese news agency reports the TransAsia Airways GE 222 flight was en route from Kaohsiung Saogang Airport to Penghu Maigong Airport.
Yeah, this was all pilot error.
Yes, it was. They were trying to fly through the tail end of a typhoon, which is not really. I mean, this thing was a prop drive plane too, from what I'm gathering, and just didn't have enough power to do the job. Taiwanese transportation authorities said the plane was forced to make an emergency landing in Penghu County, Huxley Township, the main island of the chain, also known as the Pescadores. A bunch of archipelagos out there. 47 people were killed and 11 were injured in the crash. Wow, people made it through the crash. Amazing.
It's because they were landing.
Yeah, no shit. The plane caught fire at the end of the runway and 11 people sustained injuries, Taiwan's news agency reported. There were 58 people on board, 54 passengers and 4 crew. Local media says the pilot was experiencing difficulties landing the plane due to a typhoon which was ravaging the area. It was a thunderstorm conditions during the crash, they said. Spokesman from the crash site. We sent 11 people to hospital with injuries. A few empty apartment buildings adjacent to the runway caught fire, but no one was inside. GE 222 was scheduled to take off from Kaohsiung at 4 p.m. for Maigong, but the departure was delayed until 5:42 because of the typhoon. They requested a go-around while trying to land the first time in difficult weather conditions and lost contact with the control tower when it was about 300 feet above the ground. Plane was caught in Typhoon Matmo, which also, incidentally, has killed one person in the Philippines just because of flooding, I think. Closed a bunch of schools and businesses. It's now headed toward China, has been downgraded to a tropical storm. Let's see, the ATR-72, which is the type of plane, was 14 years old. It's a French-Italian-built turboprop that can carry 74 people. Not enough power to fly through a freaking typhoon. Just saying. Lance, you're up.
Yeah, that one's being blamed totally on pilot error.
Stupidity. Complete stupidity. He could have, he could have just stayed out away for a little while longer. It wasn't like he was going to run out of fuel or nothing. It was only a 35-minute flight. Just dumb.
Hell, he could have turned around and gone back.
Right.
Citizen of the Year nomination.
Oh, is this a sarcastic one or a real one?
No. Automakers, you too can build like Tesla. CEO Elon Musk says so.
He put out everything on the web for anybody to copy. He's not taking any credit for this stuff. All the designs for the Tesla automobiles, I think there's 4 or 5 of them right on production.
I don't know. Are you doing the story or me?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just had to jump in on that. But you're absolutely right. I mean, he's not an idiot. He's not taking credit for anything. It's now an open source company allowing its electric vehicle patents for outside use.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah. He made the unprecedented announcement Thursday on his company's blog. Tesla Motors was created to accelerate the advent of sustainable transport. If we clear a path to the creation of compelling electric vehicles, but then lay intellectual property, we are acting in a manner contrary to that goal.
That's right.
Tesla will not initiate patent lawsuits against anyone who in good faith wants to use our technology. He says that he used to think patents were a good thing, but now he sees them as instruments to stifle growth. And if you don't believe that, look how many patents governments have bought out that would never see the light of day.
Yeah, and I'm glad that he put the caveat in there that good faith must be taken when trying to copy his design. Because military people, I didn't really know.
Well, it's ironic that Tesla, because his technology, Nikolai, that's it's very interesting use of words because his technology was, he wanted
it for everybody.
From him.
Yes,
right. He wanted to put it out in good faith, and it was stolen from him.
Yes.
It's impossible for Tesla to build electric cars fast enough to address the carbon crisis. I don't believe that.
There is no carbon.
That's what I'm saying. It's unclear what he meant by good faith, but it could point to an agreement that would benefit Tesla. The company is ready to build a 5 billion gigafactory to produce enough lithium-ion batteries to drive down the prices. A month ago, he said he envisioned 200 gigafactories down the line. To represent a new open-source beginning, he said the patents that cover a wall at Tesla's Palo Alto headquarters have been removed. We believe that Tesla, other companies making electric cars in the world, would all benefit from a common, rapidly evolving technology platform. And it's funny, I drove by, I was coming back from Richmond this weekend from looking at that concession trailer.
Oh, yeah, I want to find out what happened with that.
It was too small. It was just too small. But we rode past some rest areas, and all the rest areas had signs that showed electric plug-ins for cars.
Very cool.
I thought that was cool, too. So you can pull over in the rest area, charge your car, and
have got a little swipe thingy for your debit card?
My guess is it's free, but I don't know. Next time I drive by one, I'll look and see what...
I want to see if you got to pay for it. I guarantee you, if it's at a rest area, it's owned by the state, you're going to pay something. They ain't just going to let you have free juice.
Could be.
That's just my opinion. Might be wrong. Very cool, though. Yeah, Elon Musk is a cool sumbitch, man.
He also owns SpaceX, the firm that stands as the only private company to ever return a spacecraft from low orbit Earth. And he's also the chairman of Solar City, which he said can help provide solar energy for the national network of Tesla EV chargers his company is creating. I'd be amazed if this guy didn't end up dead someday.
Yeah. That sucks too, yeah. Most of the guys do. Remember back in the 80s, there was that cat up in Minnesota, I think, that had a car that ran on water.
Oh, yeah.
And you can still find videos of him on YouTube. Yeah, and he was trying to release that patent to the public for zero money. He drove that car, 23,000 miles all over the United States, different states, stopping places, showing people, showing different colleges and universities and blah, blah, blah. It ran on water.
Yep.
And it had all kinds of power.
For so many years.
Yeah. So, the technology's been out there for eons. But, yeah, they capped him, just like they do most everybody that tries to help humanity live the way they should have been living. Free is not profitable, you bastard!
Which is why the world will always be at war, because peace is not profitable.
That's right. Speaking of war, Israel may be guilty of war crimes, the UN human rights chief stated.
I posted that story today, too.
Israel may be committing war crimes in Gaza, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights says, speaking in Geneva. Navi Pillay said house demolitions and the killing of children raise the strong possibility, quote-unquote, that Israel is violating international law. Opening an emergency debate at the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, she cited cases of Israeli airstrikes and shelling hitting houses and hospitals in the coastal enclave. These are just a few examples where there seems to be a strong possibility that international humanitarian law has been violated in a manner that could amount to war crimes, she said. She hit out at both sides concerning their conduct during the conflict, which is now in its 16th day. Having started on July 8th, some 643 Palestinians, many of them children, actually 70% of the casualties have been civilian people, including a 7-year-old hit by a shell in southern Gaza early on Wednesday. The Israeli army has been accused of targeting civilian areas as well as using flechette shells during its offensive in Gaza. If you don't know what a flechette round is, Google that. It's a million little knives and darts when the shell explodes. Let's see, which can cause widespread harm and death to civilians. Some 29 Israeli soldiers have been killed. Yay! Including a tank officer shot by a Palestinian sniper early on Wednesday. I don't usually pray for people's deaths, but these IDF soldiers are a bunch of dickbags. I'm sorry to say that those humans even exist on this planet. Every one of these incidents must be properly and independently investigated, Pillay said in some of her strongest comments on the carnage. She also condemned the indiscriminate firing of rockets and mortars by Palestinian militants into Israel. They're under attack. So
she condemned both sides.
Yeah, she's got to. She's a politician, right? Okay. Rise of incitement for violence against Palestinians by Israelis on social media. If you haven't seen the video of these scumbag Israeli jackasses sitting on the hillside applauding the shelling of Gaza, go check that shit out. That is vomitous. I wish one of those shells would fall errant and land on their goddamn easy chairs that they're sitting out there on.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Absolutely, man.
How is that any different than 2002, all of us Americans sitting here in front of our TV watching them shell Baghdad to pieces, and everybody, not everybody, 75, 85% of the people over here,
it's no different,
sitting on the hill,
it's no different,
applauding for the deaths that were happening.
Yeah, it's no different at all.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, that's why we are getting our just desserts now. It's coming. It's coming. You know it is. On Monday, a hospital was hit in Gaza with 4 people killed and scores of others wounded. I think you told me 70. 30 of the wounded were medics. The International Committee of the Red Cross issued a statement condemning the shelling in the strongest terms. Reuters reported the organization stated that the hospital came under fire at least 4 times and life-saving equipment was severely damaged. United Nations School, which is helping to shelter displaced Palestinians in the center of Gaza, also came under attack from Israeli fire on Tuesday as a team was inspecting damage from shelling by the Israelis on Monday. The official mentioned that a team who has been given permission by Israel to enter were at the school run by the UN in Al-Maghazi when Israeli tanks resumed their shelling and hit the building. So these Israeli assholes knew that this team was in there, and they fired on them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking at the conference, Israeli ambassador to the body, Evitar Manor, told the debate that Israel will destroy Hamas military infrastructure. He also added that the Gaza residents are not our enemy. Israel is fully committed to international law. The ambassador also slammed the UN Human Rights Council, saying they had failed to protect the human rights of Israelis. Go fuck yourself, dude.
So you're violating humanitarian rights, so we're going to then violate humanitarian rights to punish you.
Right.
Okay, I got it.
In response, the Palestinian foreign minister, Riyad al-Maliki, urged world powers to end what he called Israel's impunity, saying Israel must be held accountable for its crimes. His speech was greeted with a round of applause. Haaretz reports that the Palestinians in Arab countries have filed a draft to the Human Rights Council, which convened for a special one-day session in Geneva, which includes the establishment of an international commission of inquiry to probe alleged war crimes and violations of international law. The draft does not mention Hamas. Despite Israel lobbying the council member states to prevent the meeting from taking place, the Palestinians managed to get the signatures necessary to hold the meeting. The U.S., most of the EU states, and additional Western states, including Australia and Canada, are expected to oppose the draft. However, as in other UN bodies, the Palestinians hold an automatic majority, which allows them to pass any resolution. Israel, which accuses the Council of bias, boycotted the Geneva Forum for 20 months, resuming cooperation in October. Its main ally, the United States, a member state, has also said Israel is unfairly singled out. Again, I say, Israel, go fuck yourselves. So that's that story.
Well,
there's some video and some very devastating pictures to go along with this article, too. I'm going to drop this in chat. Go ahead, sorry.
Following that, Shortly before the Israel-Hamas fighting began in Gaza earlier this month, 2 separate killings ratcheted up tensions. And we all know about these.
Yes.
First, 3 Israeli teenagers were killed, allegedly by Hamas in the West Bank. Israel has arrested many Palestinians, I said politician, but says it is still searching for the main suspects in the deaths of the 16-year-old, 16-year-old, 19-year-old. Shortly after the Israeli deaths, a 16-year-old Palestinian, Mohammed Abu Qadir, was abducted and killed. Everybody heard that story, too.
Yes, we did.
In a courtroom last week, an Israeli prosecutor charged 3 Jewish Israelis with abducting Abu Qadir, bludgeoning him with a wrench, and burning him alive.
Burning him alive.
The day the 3 Israelis were charged in court, Israel announced that it would officially recognize Abu Qadir as a victim of terrorism. By law, that means his family is eligible for Israeli government compensations. Crimes committed by Jewish...
Their house was probably one of the first ones shelled.
Crimes committed by Jewish, Christians, Muslims, whatever it is, at the end of the day, they are crimes, said Jonathan Morsi of the Israeli Ministry of Defense.
You are one pathetic loser.
So it's just important to recognize that we don't discriminate, that everybody is equal before the law. But there are inconsistencies. For example, Israel has ordered the demolition of the homes of the Palestinians who are suspected of killing the Israeli teens, a punishment it has carried out many times in recent years, but Israel has not done so with the Israelis accused of murdering Abu Qadir. So, hypocrites.
Yes.
But it's interesting that Israel took those 3 people to court, and, I didn't think that happened. That kind of surprised me when I read this. This is on NPR.
I wonder if anything really happened to them.
Or is it just a play?
Mm-hmm.
It could be
for the cameras. Oh man. Let's see. Turkey's Erdogan. That's their president, I guess. Breaking news out of RT. Gaza death toll tops 700 now. 700 now. Turkey's Erdogan.
4 Israelis.
Yeah. I stopped talking to Obama, he says. Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that he ceased direct phone contact with the U.S. President Barack Obama once the U.S. backed away from the use of military force against Syria last fall. Erdogan, a supporter of rebel fighters opposed to Syrian President Bashar Assad's government, was upset. He said that the United States did not follow through with military action against Damascus amid the fierce civil war. In the past, this is a quote from Erdogan, I was calling him, Obama, directly because I can't get the expected results on Syria. Our foreign ministers are now talking to each other, Erdogan said on Monday. And I have talked to U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, gaff a minute. He calls me and I call him. What do you guys call each other? Erdogan indicated that he was disappointed when the U.S. would not boost rebel factions enough at the time when Western opinion began to turn against Assad. Like we don't fund them already, and our CIA is on the ground there. I expect justice in this process, he says. I couldn't imagine something like this from those who are campaigning or who are championing justice. Justice at the end of a missile. The last phone conversation between Erdogan and Obama took place on February 20th, according to AFP, after which the White House released a scathing statement accusing Erdogan of misrepresenting the content of their conversation. Erdogan has also been at odds with U.S. over Israel's current offensive in the Gaza Strip. Hey, he's got some good points. That has killed more than 580. We now know it's over 700. Erdogan accused Israel of state terrorism and genocide of Palestinians. Good for you, jackass. He also chastised the U.S. for defending Israel's disproportionate use of force, adding that Israel has surpassed Hitler in barbarism. Israelis have no conscience, no honor, and no pride. those who condemn Hitler day and night have surpassed Hitler in barbarism. That's a direct quote from Prime Minister Erdogan. The U.S. State Department called his comments on Israel offensive and wrong, you ass cats. Erdogan fired back saying the United States should take part in self-criticism. Erdogan is expected to win the August 10th presidential election in Turkey. Should he win the race, many analysts expect him to be more assertive with Turkish foreign policy. Turkey is a big member of the EU, and we have a lot of military equipment on their soil.
And they allow us to fly over their airspace.
Yes, so this is quite a big deal. It seems that he's a little peeved at the U.S. and Israel, and but he's got it all wrong down in Syria. He just got it all wrong down there. I think the only reason that he's got it wrong down there is because he has political interests down there.
Oh yeah,
they want something out of that country, oil or something. Anyway, that's actually the last thing I have on my Twitter feed. I'm sure we can find something else to talk about for the last half hour of the show or so.
Well, I have one more, and then it'd be
we could do that video.
Yeah, it'd be a good time to do that video, and I'll preface it right before this. Brazil, the World Cup down there, saw some interesting statistics, and just wanted to run them by you.
Sure, yeah.
This
should be really good.
Well, up to 200, and this is from the Washington Post. Brazil forcibly displaces thousands of people to make way for the World Cup.
We all do that.
The recent article by Brazilian-based architect Anthony Ling cites estimated indicating that some 250,000 people have been evicted from their homes to make way for the World Cup. A January 25th article in the Washington Post, because they've been doing it a long time. So there was an article earlier in the year that the figure is disputed, that it might not have actually been 250,000, but it was a bunch of people. In the most interesting note actually came at the end of this article when, let me see here. In fairness to Brazil, the country is not actually the far and away the champion of forced removals for a sports event. Brazil's World Cup related evictions affected far fewer people, and I never heard this story anywhere, than China's expulsion of 1.25 million people to make way for the 2000 Olympics. And this is Washington Post reporting.
1.25 million, did you say?
Yep.
Wow.
But the get hardly justifies Brazil's behavior. It seems sometimes may be justifiable to use eminent domain to build roads and infrastructure, but it makes no sense to evict people to build costly facilities that are likely fall into disuse after a 2 or 3 week long sporting event ends. So the most interesting part of that was I had no idea that many people had to get moved for the Beijing Olympics.
No shit. I didn't hear nothing about that.
I mean, that wasn't vacant space where they built all that stuff because there's no vacant space in China. So they had to tear down a lot of
farm
stuff.
ground up in northern. Yeah, I mean, China's a big-ass country, brother.
Not where they did the Olympics. It wasn't.
No. You're right. But
yeah, so I mean, that was right in the heart of Beijing.
Well, you also got to realize that it's hard as hell to get even a reporter in there past Hong Kong. I mean,
it is.
Yeah, so if you step on mainland China, you usually got about 5 people standing around you with AKs or SKSs, and they follow you everywhere you go, and they tell you what you can film and what you can't film, and they go over your shit before you get to leave the country, and pretty much delete everything that you ever,
And the Boston Globe was actually the first person to break this story on July 17th, 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, and I never, ever heard boo about this. I heard a lot of stuff about
1.25 well, you remember when they built the Three Gorges Dam over there? Yeah. They flooded like 30 villages or some shit.
Yeah.
They built all those new structures higher than the water level was going to be and moved all of them up there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they sunk churches, all their history just went underwater. And that thing is holding enough water behind it now that it actually changed the rotation of the Earth because it added more weight to that side of the planet.
That sounds like a conspiracy.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. Look it up. Three Gorges Dam changes the Earth's rotation. You can Google that shit and find it.
I'd have to see the source on that one.
Go ahead, Google it, man.
That almost sounds like that senator that was afraid of all the people that we have on Guam that's going to make the island tip over, and because we have so many U.S. soldiers in Guam right now. I mean, that's about as credible.
Okay. So let's jump over to this video, man. What is this? You want to preface it?
I'll preface the video with it is 14 minutes long, 14 minutes long. The guy is, I don't know, he's in his 60s. He's a 26-year-old, just recently retired border agent.
Veteran.
Veteran.
26-year-old.
26-year veteran. He's like 60 years old.
Right.
26-year veteran of the Border Patrol, and still has some good contacts. And, you know, what he had to say, you could almost call him a whistleblower, because the information that he was dishing out was pretty spot on. And when you think about it, you're like, okay, I could put that together. I could put those pieces of the puzzle together now.
And this will play well to radio.
It will.
Okay. Here we go.
Laws and the reason that immigration officers exist.
Damn, it jumped like 30 seconds into the video. What the hell is up with that? Hang on, let me back it up here. All right, here we go.
You might need to...
My name is Zach Taylor.
There it goes.
I'm a retired Border Patrol officer. My main job was understanding and having intelligence capabilities about drug smuggling across the U.S. border and human smuggling across the U.S. border to bring contraband and people into the United States. That's what I did for 26 years. National security is a component of the immigration laws and the reason that immigration officers exist, because the immigration laws are designed to primarily do just two things: protect national security and public safety. The component of national security is the economy and American jobs, because the foundation of American society, which is the family unit, depends on jobs and the economy for their livelihood. On the other side is the public safety, which includes public health, and that is so the people will be secure in their persons and their property from outside source threats. In other words, people coming in to take over America by force or by subterfuge. Right now, Department of Homeland Security is in charge of, through Customs and Border Protection, the apprehension and collection of the illegal aliens. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention is in charge of the screening with the U.S. Public Health Service. I've never seen the CDC or U.S. Public Health Service work together with the Border Patrol at the border, ever. The agents are telling us that they're seeing some people that are obviously sick, with shivering type illnesses, with possibly dehydrating illnesses like diarrhea and vomiting. But those people are disappearing. We don't know what they have, where they're going, where they're taking them. Surely they're being quarantined somewhere. We just don't know where. And even the agents don't know what the diagnosis is of these illnesses.
28 different states.
Tie that in with the fact that these people can come through almost anywhere in the world and are funneling into Mexico. And we already know there's epidemic levels of certain diseases in Mexico and Central America. We don't know if these people are showing these diseases, if they're even being screened for them. The real troubling part of this is we know that in West Africa right now, there's an Ebola outbreak that does not meet the parameters of communicable diseases. Normally, Ebola virus starts in the jungle and moves into an indigenous population in the jungle, and then from there into a larger population area. What they're experiencing in West Africa in 3 countries right now is an Ebola outbreak in 3 separate cities at the same time. This is very unusual. It is almost as if the virus was planted in those 3 cities to infect that population. In other words, the virus is working in the reverse of what it has historically. Before it moved from the jungle into the populated area, now it's starting in the most populated areas in those cities and working through the population. If we had a control event, I'll give you an example. Border Patrol has a drug smuggling operation and they've been surveilling it. And after the car loads up and takes off, we stop the car. And the person driving the car hands us a diplomatic passport, saying they're a diplomatic alien inside the United States. We stop right there. We call the Department of State. The Department of State takes it from there. The person is not prosecuted. Yes, we may or may not seize the vehicle and the drugs. The United States public never knows that happened. That's a controlled event.
God damn!
In this situation, where you have hundreds of thousands, literally, of people coming across the border, and you're only catching a small fraction, if you're not telling the public that 80 to 90% of what's coming across the border is not being apprehended, and you're putting their focus on this 10% that is being apprehended, only showing them the 1% that are 6, 8, 10 years old, and appeal to the compassion of the American people, and not show them the people with these serious communicable diseases, the fact that they are known gang members, they have the gang tats all over them, because they do not have a conviction in the United States, they're turned loose free in the United States. We don't know when CDC takes custody of one of these people from Homeland Security and whisks them off somewhere, we don't know where, what disease they have been diagnosed with. We know it's communicable. We assume it's serious. But that is being kept away not only from the agents in Department of Homeland Security, it is part of the controlled event where America doesn't realize how serious the threat is, and they're only being shown the compassionate side of the situation. That 1 to 2% of those 160,000 that appeal to the compassionate side of the people of the United States. What the people don't realize, that it is putting their own children at risk. Because these children are going to be put in schools with their children. This administration and past administrations have not lived up to enforcing the rule of law with regards to national security and immigration laws. The reason we're having the press of the Central American miners is because this particular administration has invited them to come here. The problem, as I see it, and as apparently because Center for Disease Control, Health and Human Services, and Department of Homeland Security are trying to make this a controlled situation, they're anticipating a large national crisis. When you see that FEMA is preparing for 200 million deaths in the United States, that tells you something. When you see that the government is controlling the supply of ammunition and that basic medical supplies are in short supply in southern Arizona, something's wrong. They are anticipating something drastic. If they had enforced the law, if they didn't enforce the immigration law, and if they had expeditiously removed these people that came here, this group of miners, they would have dealt with this situation. The way they are reacting to it is facilitating and inviting more of the same. So what they're doing is making a bad situation much worse. The real reason these people are probably coming here from an intelligence point of view is to mask or draw attention away from something else that is happening. Since the United States government is encouraging this, it is something that the United States government wants to happen. They have significant CIA, FBI, Department of State, Homeland Security, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, you name it, in Central America right now, have been there a long time. They know what's going on. We're not doing anything to stop the obvious threat. 2 years ago, I became acquainted with a person that lives in Mexico City. I have complete, total confidence in this person as an informant. He's beyond reproach. And he told me, when I asked him, I was concerned about two things. And that was the trafficking of human organs in Mexico.
Yikes.
And the extreme violence, the beheadings and dismemberments that were going on in Mexico. Now, understand this person is pretty much as an unbiased observer that has almost unlimited access to all levels of both government and society in Mexico. Without hesitation, he told me that the most influential criminal organization in Mexico City at that time was the Russian Mafia. And through other sources, I knew that they were a very important component in Ecuador and in the tri-border area in South America. So when you start to think about the dynamics of what's going on in Mexico, think transnational criminal, think of people beyond Mexico, think beyond Central America, and think of criminals, period. The reason they come to the United States is because this is where the money is. The agent is much more afraid of his own government than he is of the transnational
like
smuggler.
60 trillion in debt. Ain't no
Because
money here.
they're not only messing with the agent's pay right now, they're telling him to run away from an assault. You know, if somebody wants to fight, leave them alone. Don't shoot at anybody. They just told the local border patrol here that they're not going to get any ammunition for their rifles until 2015. What's that about? They're not going to have any practice ammo for their Car 4s until 2015. Well, that's over a year away. FY 2015 starts in October 2015. So what is it that the Border Patrol agents aren't going to get where historically Department of Homeland Security used to buy ammunition for the Border Patrol by the boxcar load?
You're saying Border Patrol agents in Tucson sector have to ration their ammunition for the next 14, 15 months?
They can't use it. They're doing zero accountability. In other words, they can't shoot any of it, and it's being accounted for round for round. The rules are you have to practice, you have to qualify, demonstrate proficiency at a minimum level with each firearm that you're authorized to use. Handgun, shotgun, rifle. When the agent is, one, not allowed to maintain his basic proficiency with the firearms that he uses and train with them on a quarterly basis, he is less proficient.
It's okay.
If he is less proficient and doesn't have access to ammunition, he's less likely to take that firearm into the field and have it available should he need it. That raises the risk level to the individual agent, because the purpose of having the superior fire force is to deter someone from attacking you. The whole idea of asymmetrical warfare is to defeat your enemy from within. It is not to attack him from without. Of course, the threat comes from without, but they have to be inside of the United States to effect a successful warfare strategy. If asymmetrical warfare is going to be successful, the first thing that has to be done is to compromise America's defenses against invasion, because they have to have their personnel inside the United States to affect the infrastructure. Our hospitals, our schools, our electric grid, our power supplies, our water supply. Basically, what we call infrastructure. All of those things create our infrastructure. But they have to affect the degeneration from inside the United States. The markers that we're seeing that indicate this is asymmetrical warfare is because the reaction that the United States is taking is they're taking the opportunity of inviting these illegal aliens to come here. They're concentrating them in one place in the United States, the Rio Grande Valley, and they're drawing the resources that are protecting the rest of the United States border to care for the illegal alien children, to help with the overflow of the minors, to transport, to take care of the needs of these people while they're in Homeland Security custody. All this takes the resources that are protecting America at the border off of the border. So now the borders are wide open. This gives the people that are trying to get their infrastructure, their personnel, their drugs, their dirty bombs, their biological weapons, their chemical weapons into the United States without being noticed, because this part of the border is open. It is not being patrolled. It is a perfect military strategy. It doesn't raise any eyebrows because we're focused on the children. But we need to focus on our children.
Focus on the
because
scabies.
This is asymmetrical warfare. Everything says it is. And the way the United States government is responding to it is concealing that fact from the American people. In other words, they're assisting in the downfall of America. And you need to understand that.
I'm guessing that's the end of the video, yeah, Lance?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Labanza Productions. Hang on, let me turn myself down. That was an extremely low audio video, so I kind of turned everything else down and turned it way up. Okay, so I'm back to normal levels, and I can yell into the mic now. Okay. Let's see.
Pretty eye-opening stuff.
Yeah, and then you know, like I commented in the room just a minute ago, now you got Rick Perry sending 1,000 guard troops down to the border. We just heard a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month, that a Mexican military chopper flew across the border and started shooting at some border guards.
Yep, I did hear that.
So, you know, I think that's going to be like a little border war, little skirmish going on down there. As soon as these guard troops get down there and run up on some MS-13 or...
Yeah, I can just imagine National Guard troops from Texas. Sounds like some rednecks to me, some good old boys.
Yeah, well, you know, when they get wind of all the guard troops down on the border of Texas, they're just going to move over to New Mexico and Arizona and hop the fence there, right? What fence? Wait a minute, there's only like 30 miles of it built.
Yeah, what fence?
Yeah, so...
if that was important, it would have already been done.
Epic fail.
Okay. Yeah. So what else you got to say about this cat? I mean, he is a whistleblower. I'm guessing that he's going to be breathing through the backside of his head soon.
I'm pretty sure because this video just came out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure he'll be visited by somebody because, I mean, he just came across as knowing a lot of inside information. I mean, what was really going on.
Yeah, it was dropped on July 19. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm going to drop this video link in chat well, I guess it already went out in chat. We tried to drop it several times and it wouldn't let us link up until Joe got a hold of it. Thanks, Joe. You're allowed to pass that to anybody. They firmly want you to, and I think I might just tweet it out right now while we're talking. I'll hit the like button here, and then I'll go down to this little birdie thing and tweet this video. And hopefully it doesn't have any problem going to my Twitter or to Facebook, and people can click on it and watch. People need to know what's going on. I mean, the whole disarming, taking away the ammo of these gentlemen that are trying to protect our country from scabies.
It was a really good point that he made about showing just the kids. Because if you did watch any news over the last couple of weeks, all you saw were
and their
the
mom
kids.
was crying.
Yeah, so
now
that
the
was
UN,
the 1% that we saw.
Right, the UN is telling us that we must accept these people as refugees because of the violence taking place in Guatemala and wherever the fuck else they come from.
Nicaragua,
yeah. Because of these gang members that we turned around and flew down there to kick them out of the country are destroying their country. So now we have to accept them as refugees. They couldn't stop at any other place along the way. I mean, you know, Mexico doesn't want them, so they're just pushing them right on through, right? I think maybe we need to send some of our health and human services folk and some border guards down to, I don't know, halfway through Mexico and grab that train, stop them there.
It'd be easier just to move the southern border 180, 200 miles south.
I'm sure Mexico would be pissed off about that. I'm pretty sure Mexico
Texas used to be Mexico.
Because all those tunnels, I mean, they'd have to move all those tunnels that they dug. They'd have to move them. That'd make them mad.
If they're just looking for Democrats, all they have to do is move that southern border a couple hundred miles.
Yeah. Okay, we're down to about the last 14 minutes or so, 13 minutes.
2 little feel-good stories.
Do you? All right.
Hold on. Dave Blank, a member of the North Boston Volunteer Fire Department.
Is that his real name, or did you blank it?
That's it. That's
okay.
Real.
Cool.
Is in the business of saving lives, but now Blank is fighting for his own life. He has leukemia, and he's going through chemotherapy.
Oh, Blank.
To help him along the journey, the firefighter put out a request for T-shirts from other fire companies.
Nice.
Take a guess on how many T-shirts showed up in the mail within a week.
10,000.
Well, no, 340. So 340 different fire departments.
Almost the number of firefighters killed on 9/11. I think that was 343, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that, or maybe a little bit more. But that's pretty cool. That there is a brotherhood of firefighters. I put firefighters on a little different pedestal than I do other first responders, like police officers.
Absolutely.
And there was a good story on that. Too bad we didn't get a chance to get into that. That guy that got killed over the one that was choked to death in New York. I can't breathe, guy. I can't breathe.
Yeah.
In the official police report, they did you know, for one, chokeholds were banned by the New York Police Department over a year ago.
Yep.
They've been banned from using chokeholds, for one. And two, in their report, they said that they never suspected that he was under duress or experienced stress or...
That's bullshit, because it's on tape 10 times him saying, I can't breathe.
But the official police report, said the guy in the jersey has his badge and his gun pulled away from him right now, so he's on a paid vacation for taxpayers. And all of the paramedics that were on the film that were standing around not giving him CPR also all got suspended.
Hey, somebody go find that ass hat that was undercover. Somebody go track him down at a bar and teach him a lesson.
Yeah, there's going to be some rioting there over that, but you won't see any of it on the news. You'll have to get to mainstream media. But there's going to be hell to pay, I believe, over this one. Because people are just getting fed up. So how many more does it take before you get fed up?
Right.
But
even Angry Grandpa. I mean, we played the Angry Grandpa on Monday, man.
Grandpa. And I felt just like him when I saw that.
Absolutely, man. I wanted to go bash my microwave.
Yep. I don't have a microwave because I know they're bad. So
mine's unplugged, but I still wanted to go bash it.
Yeah, I don't have a microwave. Russia hasn't allowed microwaves since 1987, I believe.
If you do have one,
how bad they are.
Simply take the magnetron out of it and dispose of it however you want to. I'm sure some local scientists in the area would like to have the magnetron. There's a lot of uses for them. They're actually really, really cool things. But go ahead and take the magnetron out of it and just use the box as a Faraday cage, because they're very, very good Faraday cages.
In a funny story, and it's not funny, but it's funny. A woman who filed a complaint against a car dealership in Jacksonville, Florida, was surprised when she went to pick up her refund. It was mostly loose change. Irina Majolkovic had bought a 2003 Saab. That was her first mistake. Holiday Motors in January that ended up with transmission problems. Holiday Motors of North Florida first repaired the vehicle for $300 and then sold her a warranty. But when the transmission went out again, because it's a Saab, it was going to, the dealer charged her an additional $400, saying its warranty didn't cover labor. She said that she had to borrow the money to pay the bill, but she also went to the Florida Department of Motor Vehicles, whose investigators directed the company to give her a refund that she tried to get earlier this week. Ed D. Miranda, who runs the dealership, said the money, $400, was the cash he had on hand. about $85 in coins and the rest in $1 bills. He emptied containers where he keeps spare change because business had been slow. He goes, I'm doing what the DMV asked me to do. It is legal tender after all.
That's right, goddammit. And when you pay your bill to the bank in nickels, because they won't give you pennies anymore, they've figured that one out.
Right.
But they'll give you nickels still. Yeah, they got to take that shit.
Majovkovic was angry, leaving the bags of cash at Holiday Motors because she didn't have enough time to count every penny. De Miranda said the incident occurred because he inadvertently omitted a clause in her warranty contract that stated the warranty did not cover labor. I failed to write that in, and that was her loophole. Majovkovic still doesn't have her money. De Miranda said that the bags of cash are waiting here at Holiday Motors.
That's all you're getting, lady. You want to be a little a little dunt about that shit, and try. Okay, here you go.
Oh, there was an
That's
after hours.
just
There was an
beautiful,
after hours nightclub that got fined for, I can't remember what it was, drinking in the parking lot or allowing drinking in the parking lot. It was an after hours club, one of those private clubs,
right?
And they paid their $2,000 fine in nickels.
Yeah,
and that was pretty funny.
Yeah, and the PD had to take it.
Oh, they had to take it.
Yeah,
it's legal tender.
That's right. Oh man, that was a pretty good feel-good story. I like that one. Man, listen to them crickets. See,
they are pretty loud after that rain that came through.
Yeah, I'm worried a little bit, and I really shouldn't be because everybody around me says, don't worry, man, you'll still have critters running around. But like in another 10 or 15 days, I get to turn these little guineas loose. I'm starting to go up to the bait store here and get them tubes of crickets, little crickets like bait crickets for fishing.
So what are you talking about, the chickens?
My guinea hens that are going to run around the yard and eat all my bugs. Remember I got the 6 guineas? I told you about that.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, I saw the video.
Yeah. So they're getting big. I mean, they've probably tripled in size since I bought them. And I dump, I'll dump about a dozen of them crickets in there, and you ought to see those goddamn things go after them little bugs, man.
So you're going to eat it? So you're going to eat them or what?
No. They cruise around my yard. I got 6 of them. They cruise around my yard and they eat all the ticks and shit. So I don't get them on my dog and make it more pleasant yard to live in. And they're really good alarm system. If somebody comes on the property, they head back to the house. Yap. So they let you know when somebody comes in. Even if they're roosted up.
Foxes get them all. Till whatever got your other chicken gets them.
He hadn't been back, man. I think he knows. Because I sat out on his porch for 2 nights with the FLIR unit looking for that little fucker to come back. I was going to cap him.
I don't think he's that smart to know you were sitting there. But when he sees some free-range chickens or hens running around...
These things are mean little bastards, man.
That's a Golden Corral buffet right there.
I'll take some pictures of them now that they're getting bigger, and you can see. I mean, they look like a little raptor dinosaur.
Yeah, they're no match for a predator.
If there's 6 of them, man, they'll gang up on a snake.
Oh, would they?
Oh, yeah. It says that right in Google. They'll gang up on a snake and peck the shit out of it until it dies. So, yeah, they're pretty tough, man. You ought to see them go after them bugs. The bugs will get up against the corner, and they don't care. They'll just go right out the wall. Pow! It's cool, man. I'll take some video and send it to you. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of days. It's watching them. It's like kind of feeding an Oscar. You ever had an Oscar fish?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you drop goldfish in there and turn them loose, and they just, suck up the goldfish. And oh, wow, that was really cool, man.
I had a 75-gallon tank.
Ooh,
and
nice.
Oscars and snakeheads. When snakeheads
Snakeheads are cool as hell.
Yeah, man. And I had snakeheads. I used to raise snakeheads.
But they're bad. They're so bad for the environment, though, dude, because they kill anything.
If you release them, right.
They're bad in Florida, dude. They're all over the...
Oh, yeah. I know. You'd catch them in Indiana, too.
Yeah.
But I would buy them the size of my pinky and then get them to about 1.5 feet long and as thick as my wrist, and then sell them back to the pet store for 10 times the amount that I paid for it. So, but I would throw in...
Some Japanese restaurants eat them.
Yep. This is when my kids were young, maybe 5, 6, 7, and 8, in that range.
Yep.
And I would, twice a week, I'd bring home 30 or 40 goldfish. and all the kids in the neighborhood would come crowd around the fish tank. There would be about 10 or 12 kids in the living room, and I'd dump them goldfish in there, and within 30 seconds, every goldfish was gone.
Oh,
there were scales floating around everywhere in the water.
They're vicious fish. I've seen an underwater video of them in the rivers.
Oh, yeah. Oscar and the snakehead would both be running around or swimming around, not being able to eat anymore, with goldfish hanging out of their mouth, waiting on the rest of them in their stomach to digest to make room for more.
Right.
It was amazing. Those fish are just
amazing. It's a wonder that the snakeheads let the Oscars live.
They were both pretty damn big. I would get the Oscars about as big as a dinner plate. In a 75-gallon tank, you can get your fish pretty darn big.
Yeah, but very few, though. I mean, you know.
One at a time. I had to keep one Oscar.
Yeah.
I would keep clown knives. Those are awesome fish. I'd get clown knives 2 feet long. I mean, some of them were just huge. Needle nose fish. I always had predator fish.
A buddy of mine had a saltwater tank up back in Illinois. It was a pretty good size one, too. I think it was a 120 or something. It was pretty big. And he had this little blue and white eel that he had in there with a bunch of other. He had like a yellow tang and clowns and all that kind of shit, too. And he'd go buy frozen shrimp and put them on a long-ass skewer.
Yep.
And then take them and dip them down in the tank and stick them in front of that eel, man. They'd come out from between them rocks and just pow like a little rocket, dude. It was badass. I love aquariums. I'm a very water oriented person because I'm a Cancer, you know.
Yeah, I wish I would have saved mine when I got tired of it. I actually turned it into a terrarium and filled it halfway with rocks and lowered all the water. And I had volcanoes in there, and I had a little smoke machine that I put underneath the volcano.
Very cool.
It had turtles and, snails and lizards. So I turned it into some cool stuff, but just got tired of it after a while.
They get really maintenance heavy.
It does. Yeah, it does. And
after a while.
When you have turtles, you got to clean that cage out once a week because they're actually very
nasty.
Dirty. Yeah, dirty.
So are these goddamn guineas. It's going to take me a week to clean the inside of my shed. They shit all over everything.
Pressure washer.
Yeah, that's what's coming. All right, man. We're down to it. 30 seconds. Everybody hang out after the show. Anti-Media Radio is coming up with Mr. Nick Burnaby. I'm going to jump over there and toss him the phones. If you're listening, Nick, it's getting ready to head at you.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned. They always talk about some good stuff.
Those guys are up to speed. I commented on Nick's Facebook the other day. I said, you're one of the most awake youngins I have ever met in my life, and I'm proud to know you.
Yep.
So he's good people. And I hope he goes far on this journey that he's riding, because he can do some good things. A little bit of financial backing. So,
yep.
UCY.TV, people. Keep it tuned in. More good radio coming up. I hope this was a good radio for you, too. Mr. Lance Musser, I love you, brother. I'll talk to you later on. Everybody out there in Radio Land, on the interweb, peace, people.